All right, we are back with the Phenomenormal podcast. I got everything up and running now. Everything's looking good on my end. Sounds good on Twitch. All right, so my name is Josh, with my co-host Aaron.
Hello, it's good to be here, everybody.
As you can tell by the screen, we will be talking about Bigfoot today.
Oh yeah, the mythical legend itself, the big
Sasquatch.
ape-like creature, the Sasquatch, the Yeti in some places, the ape, the myth, the Gigantopithecus legend, Bigfoot.
All right. So as you can notice by the stream chat, we have our Discord's up. There are
Oh yeah,
some kinks to be worked out in it for sure. I noticed, I guess, when Aaron was trying to join it, that it was asking him to review the rules if he reviewed them yet, and there was no rules to be viewed. I got to figure out why it's saying that because the rules should definitely be showing up. However, after you accept the rules, saying yes, I've read them, the rules will pop up.
yeah. We'll be ironing out the kinks and stuff like that. It'll just take a little bit, It's a new Discord. We'll get things up and running properly and functionally. But for now, the Discord is up and joinable. So if you're interested, feel free to join.
Yeah. We do have I'm going to briefly kind of go over the Discord. If you're not in there yet, that's fine. But we do have our general chat. We have our topics chat, meaning like different topics that you guys can pitch for ideas. Articles, if you have any articles that you'd like us to go over for a topic, post those in there. We have suggestions. What kind of chat would it be without suggestions, right? We need those, tons of them. We got aliens, the
Exactly.
paranormal, and mysteries as well. And then we also have a Q&A section for any time that we go live and we're not doing a podcast. For voice channels, I'll explain those a bit. We have our Hangout. So if you just want to come in, talk with the other members of our group here,
Community.
feel free. You can go in there and speak with any of the other members. We have the Open Line 1 and Open Line 2. Um, so I'm going to let you know right now that it's not going to be a first come, first serve if you would like to join us on the show. The Open Line 1 and the Open Line 2, it's going to be a random pick from both of those. So whichever line you want to go into, those are 100% open right now where there's no limit to how many people can go in there, but there is going to be a limit put on there soon. We have, and then we also have a waiting room, which is a hidden room right now. You can't join that, but when you join either Open Line 1 or Open Line 2, we will pull you into that waiting room. That means that you are next in line to come on the show. So from there in that waiting room, you will be there by yourself for a little bit, but we will drag you onto the broadcasting studio here, that channel, and you'll be with us to talk, and we'll give you time to talk with us here on Twitch and YouTube, and hopefully soon on Spotify as well. I've been trying to work on getting us on Spotify and iHeartRadio as well. So, I'll keep an eye, just keep an eye out for that as well. We're trying to get on there.
Mm-hmm.
It'd be kind of nice to have ourselves out on the actual radio waves.
Oh, that'd be awesome.
Yeah. But yeah, that basically sums up the Discord. There are two other rooms on here. We do have a members only and a members only chat and voice channel. However, that is only for people who will subscribe and actually, join the tier list, which that's going to be worked out later on. I'm not worried about that right now. There's no reason why anyone needs to be in those chats right now.
No.
It's going to be for future reference. I just made those for the future. Figured I'd talk about
Yeah.
it though. We also have our events section there. So as you can see, I have my events up right here. Same. We're talking about Bigfoot. Today we also have channels and roles. If you go to that section on there, there's a little questionnaire there, and it tells you like, have you read the rules, and then what topics most interest you. We have aliens, paranormal, AI, undead, or others. Let us know in the suggestions. So,
Absolutely.
so this is very exciting to have this Discord up and running now, with just myself and Aaron in there at the moment. But we hope that you all come and join the fun. The link is in the stream chat. It's awesome. If you can't find it there for whatever reason, like it's not popping up for you, you can go to our homepage on Twitch, or you can go to our YouTube, and it's also there in the About Us section.
Yeah. So yeah, feel free to join, come have a chat with us, give us ideas of things, there may be a topic we haven't thought of, or maybe you might have a viewpoint we never thought of,
Yeah, I do
It'd be
have
great
a
to hear your input.
I do have a lot of ideas for the show. Like I put on there, the undead, the AI, the human psyche. There's a bunch of stuff that I would love to go over, and
Oh yeah.
we got nothing but time, so.
Yeah, it's too many topics to cover in one video, but we got all the time in the world to discuss many different topics, and
Right,
they'll
right.
eventually come up into our line
Um,
of sight eventually.
a little heads up for myself. I am currently looking at possibly taking an overseas job here soon. If that
Right?
happens, we'll just have to adjust for the time to continue doing the show. Um,
Yeah.
so I will keep everyone posted on that. Let you guys know how that's going. As of right now, I don't see it happening, but it could happen. And if it does, I will keep everyone posted.
Yeah.
Um, yeah, but we have some returning users in the stream chat. Never see any of y'all talk, but I know you're always here, so maybe you're just not logged in. That's fine. Now you can go to Discord. Don't need to log in really for that. You can actually just go in there as a user,
Yeah.
and you can talk with us there. So if you want to go to the Discord, join that. Talk with us in the general chat. I have that pulled up right now on my other screen, so I can see everything that's going to be going on there.
Nice.
So, without further ado, I guess we can go ahead and just kind of dive into the topic here.
Yeah. So I've a few theories on what Bigfoot actually is. So I don't know if any of you have ever played Ark. Well, there's a Gigantopithecus, which is like a bipedal ape, walks around on 2 feet. Now, the real Gigantopithecus does not do that. It walks on all fours like a gorilla does, so to
Hmm.
speak. So if it was the case that it was a Gigantopithecus, it'd be walking, there'd be fist imprints as well as footprints of how heavy and big this thing would be. But potentially could be possibly a descendant of it, an evolution down the line. I mean, many creatures from the Jurassic period and stuff like that are still around today. Crocodiles, for example, I don't know if that's exactly Jurassic period, but crocodiles was supposed to be around back then. Much bigger than they are now. There's a megalodon that was supposedly around, thousands of years ago. It could just be a descendant that's further along, evolved over time, and is still here today. Obviously, much smaller than it used to be, but able to thrive. I mean, we've had humans 8 foot tall and stuff like that. I forget what I said. The tallest man was 8'11", so 9 feet tall. So the thought of a Bigfoot-like creature supposedly being around 8 to 10 feet tall, I feel like that could definitely be possible and something that could exist. Possibly an evolutionary line that has evolved over
Man,
time.
what's your take on Bigfoot possibly being an alien? Cause that's been suggested a few times. Different researchers.
So it could be. You never know. I mean, at the end of the day, we don't know everything there is to know, and it could be an alien. It could have possibly
So
we could have some of its DNA, maybe
I know
for
the
all we
History
know.
Channel did with Ancient Aliens. Let me see. Yeah, season 4, episode 7. It says, "What
Hmm.
if the ancient astronaut theorists believe there is evidence to connect Bigfoot with an alien species that once visited Earth in the distant past?" So they believe that the Sasquatches, the Bigfoot, came from as an alien race that came here,
Very
and
interesting. I mean, could
I
be.
mean it's a theory, but it's interesting because a lot of times with these Bigfoot sightings, they also see UFO crafts in the sky near them.
Right. So maybe. I mean, possibly could be. I mean, supposedly, I mean, we could get to this topic another time, but in national parks, there are beings that can supposedly turn themselves invisible, so to speak. People believe those are aliens, so to speak. So, for all we know, it could be. We don't know every creature and all the possibilities based on the whole time and see everything. So, the fact that they'd be keeping to the forest biome, maybe that's more natural to them. Maybe it's to avoid human sighting if they are an alien. Maybe they don't want to be discovered. We know there's a lot of people that make up
So
hoaxes and say, "Oh, I found Bigfoot," and some people dressing up as Bigfoot and trying
right,
to, they're
so
like, "Oh, look what I
a,
captured,"
a lot of
Who knows?
misidentifications tend to be bears, escaped apes, other humans. Um,
Hmm.
yeah, just there's misidentified vocalations, hoaxes, um, people who are giants,
Yeah.
but things like that. But what I wanted to say was about Bigfoot is that it originates from North America. Like the
Right.
stories of Bigfoot, which is kind of interesting to me because um, it's one thing that North America really has as like a mythological being type thing. That the rest of the world has it too, but they call it by different names. But the kind of story of it started from North America. It goes by
Right.
numerous different names. This is right off the wiki page of Bigfoot too. Um,
Yeah.
skunk ape in Florida, grassman in Ohio. I'm probably gonna pronounce this Arkansas, but the folk 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 monster, FOUKE
Mm.
folk monster.
Yeah.
Wood booger in Virginia. The monster of Whitehall in Whitehall, New York. Momo in Missouri.
Hmm.
Honey Island swamp monster in Louisiana. Dewey Lake monster in Michigan. Uh, Mogollon monster in Arizona. The Big
Yeah.
Muddy Monster in southern Illinois, the old men of the mountain in West Virginia. Term wood ape is also used by some. It says,
Right.
and then you got like Sasquatch and stuff like that too. No, other names: Bushman, Treeman, and Wildman. So I mean,
Yeah.
it became such a popularized thing here in North America that you actually see Bigfoot crossing signs on the road.
Right.
I mean, this is how big this has become. Like, you go down some backwoods trails, like out in the mountain areas, like in Appalachia, and you will see Bigfoot Xing signs, like a deer crossing sign kind of thing. So,
I find that quite fascinating that we'd spend the time and the resources to put up a sign for this creature. Nobody's been able to confirm it exists and get a confirmed picture and a
right.
guaranteed
Yet the
proof.
states are spending money on road signs.
Right. I mean, many people believe that they supposedly inhabit caves in many of these forested regions. And supposedly, some caves you aren't allowed in, supposedly. If you were to approach the cave, supposedly some military officials or something will uh, refuse to let you inside from certain
Mm.
things I've read and heard about. I don't know whether that's true. I've not seen any credited proof or anything like that, but supposedly there are caves that if you try to venture in them, they won't let you. Possibly could
And,
be a place where they live.
and another thing is, a lot of these, not all of them, but the majority of these viewings and sightings of them, they're not very hostile.
Right.
They tend to be observant about what you're doing just as much as you're observing them. Um,
And that displays a level of intelligence, obviously.
right.
A level of consciousness and awareness to be like, What are
Right.
you up to? What are you doing? Um,
I mean, these
could
things
be,
typically live in the forest and the woods and stuff too, for the most part. I guess they live in like
yeah,
swamps and other things too, but
hmm, typically
typically they're out in the middle of nowhere, away from civilization. There has
civilization.
been
Yeah,
some reports of them in cities. I know. I think it was
right.
Chicago. They said that it was spotted inside Chicago at one point. But for the most part, they tend to stay out towards the outskirt areas in the woods, as if they don't want to
Hmm,
be bothered, you know. And then when you
yeah.
go out there to go hiking, and that's when a lot of people see these things. Um,
I mean,
I've never come across anything like it. A lot of the videos they tend to be blurry, like everything else with this kind of these kind of topics.
yeah. Well, funny enough, that you mentioned that it happened mostly in North America. So I started googling around a little bit. Supposedly, we have one in the UK. I've never heard of this before, but there's a post by Daily Mail. Supposedly, a mother walking with her dog spotted a Bigfoot-like creature and got some recordings of it. Now, I don't know about the credentials to it or legitimacy, but let's say they are, aliens, for example. Maybe there are some in the UK as well. That'd explain how to get around, maybe,
Well, supposedly
because
they're
we
all
don't really
around the
have
world.
apes and stuff. Yes, but we don't really have apes and things in the UK. That's not really something we have.
Right.
I mean, obviously, if you're talking about zoos and things, like
Yeah.
it could,
I
could
mean,
be an escaped
we
ape
don't
from a
really
zoo.
have apes here in America either. They're more
Right.
South America and Africa is where they more mainly originate from.
Could it be that they are another form of humans? I mean, we know other humans existed. There were different humanoids. Supposedly, there's giants and things of that nature. Could it be a different descendant line? Maybe a long time ago, we wiped a large amount of their populace out because we know how tribes and things back in the day. Like we would go on warpaths and we'd raid and pillage other people's villages and things like that, back in like the caveman sort of era and stuff. Could it be that they were a descendant of another humanoid race? Maybe a few last remnants have managed to escape the carnage and are just that's why they avoid us so much and watch us see what we're doing. Could be defensive instincts or possible knowledge that has been passed down from, their old times. Maybe they have a way they potentially um, process and transfer information. We don't know. Like nobody's been able to walk up to a Bigfoot and interview it and be like, "Hey, do you speak or anything? Do you have ways of writing things down on leaves or caves?" Nobody's had a conversation with them. So could be maybe they're just other humans. That's also a
Yeah.
possibility as well.
So right here is the Bigfoot Xing signs I was talking about.
Right.
And these are signs that the state and the parks will put up. So it says like due to sightings in the area of creature resembling Bigfoot in quotes, this sign has been posted for your safety.
Hmm. Very interesting.
So yeah, these are all over the states, all over. I've seen these
Hmm.
signs personally. We have them here where I live. Um, they're out on the trails, but
Yeah.
yeah, they do
I
have
mean,
them all over. Our signs are yellow though; they're not brown.
right.
But yeah,
Interesting.
I just wanted to
Right.
show that on the screen there.
Yes.
The
And like money in creating these signs. Maybe it's a tourism thing. Maybe
I
I
think a
don't
little
know.
bit maybe, yeah. It draws in the crowds, you know.
Yeah, the tourists are like, oh yeah, I want to see Bigfoot and expeditions and things. Maybe it brings in money. Maybe that could be the reason behind it. Um, we all know the world's run by money. If people can make a quick buck, I mean, that's why many of these people claim
Yeah.
to, oh, I found Bigfoot, and trying to stage that they found them. It's like mermaids. There's been many mermaids supposedly found as sightings and turned out to be a hoax. It was just people trying to make a quick buck and be famous for finding a mermaid. So it could be the same thing with Bigfoot. Just a way to bring in tourism and things of that nature.
All right. I mean, yeah,
I
it
mean,
definitely could be.
that's the reason why I could think because generally we don't just make
Um,
signs for mythical
so
beings. It's like you know,
this photo was taken back in 2007. I'll give you the site here in a bit. So I kind of put it up here. Talk about this
yeah.
for a bit first. So, my controller
Hmm.
just fell over. Um, but yeah, so this right here is, I mean, yeah, it's a grainy photo. It's 2007 when this was taken, but you can
Yeah.
clearly see that's not a human. That's not human.
Right.
Um,
No.
you can definitely see how here, let me get my mouse cursor over here, but you can see, like, look, these forearms are huge, the legs are
Oh
huge.
yeah.
You can see light
Body proportion
patches.
wise as well.
These are light patches where skin could be showing, and the rest of it looks
Right.
like hair.
Right. Similar to an ape, for
Very
example.
similar, and it's bending over. You can tell it's bending over, and it's not walking.
Right.
It's not walking in all fours. You can tell that.
Yeah.
It looks like it's bending over to pick something up.
Hmm.
So
Could it
this is
be?
actually for as pixelated as it is, it's still a very clear picture.
Oh yeah.
So let me go ahead and give you that site here on who posted that
Yeah.
here.
I also find it interesting, if all these people do supposedly see Bigfoot and they are getting footage of it and whatnot,
So
why is it they're always
photo
so far
alleged.
away?
It's the photo alleged by the Bigfoot Field Researchers Organization to depict a juvenile Bigfoot.
So that's classified as juvenile, despite how big it is.
Mm-hmm.
So how do they come to that conclusion? Do they have full size? Do they know how big they can get? Like, I mean, I really find it interesting that a lot of this footage that we see, people are, oh, I saw Bigfoot. They're always so far away. They're always grainy, very pixelated, or the camera quality just happens to be terrible. Um, I do believe there could be a Bigfoot out there, but I believe a lot of these are complete hoaxes. People trying to, they'd be like, I found this for fame, quick 5 minutes for fame, so to speak. But I just find it interesting that we haven't actually caught one or attempted to. I mean, we know how thirsty we could be for the sake of science and researching things and the lengths some people will go to. You think somebody would try and get closer to get a guaranteed, confirmed picture or video, or maybe it's just out of fear. But I feel like there'd be some idiot that would like walk up to this thing, you know?
All right.
I mean, we have all manners of different people and intellects. Some people are just bona fide
Huh.
crazy or,
So
daft.
this website is so the website for that group is bfro.net.
Right.
It's the Bigfoot Field Researchers Organization. They have a site here where you can report a sighting. They have sound recordings, which we'll pull some of those up here later. Um, Pre-Columbian Early
Yeah.
America, sightings by region, and reports added recently. They have a DNA study at NC State University. We'll examine possible Sasquatch samples. They
Right.
have a lot of research on this, so check these guys out. They have a picture of the very famous picture of Sasquatch. Says, "Wasn't this a hoax?" But they have a lot of information on here.
Right.
So they have infrared too, cameras and stuff that captured stuff. October 20th as established October 20th as National Sasquatch Awareness Day. Man, I should have postponed the show to then.
Mm. Yeah. I mean, yeah, it's
They have
a
a frequently asked questions. Wasn't this all shown to be fake? What is Bigfoot or Sasquatch? Is there any physical evidence? Why aren't there more photos? Where do they come from? How many are there? Are they dangerous? How to collect evidence? All that kind of stuff. And you can go to like all that stuff. They have phone numbers on there. Email to contact them. They were founded in 1995, it says. But yeah, these guys are pretty cool. I like their site. It's very well put together. A lot of information on here about this.
Right.
2023 Bigfoot expeditions open to non-members. So they have expeditions that you can go on, and you don't have to be a member of theirs.
Hmm. That's interesting. Yeah, I
Looks
mean,
like, let's see, today's the 19th. So in Ohio, September 21st is their next expedition if you're interested in going. Um, the 28th and through the 1st, 20th of September to October 1st, they have one in southeastern Pennsylvania.
uh,
Yeah, they have all this out here out in the open. So it's bfro.net. Check them out. I'll give them a shout out. Um, so pretty interesting.
hmm.
We got some more people in the chat here. Welcome.
Yeah, welcome to the chat. So, yeah, I mean, if Bigfoot, is an actual thing, is real, for example, um, why aren't we able to get any like hair samples? Like,
Well,
for
apparently
example,
they
that
have some.
supposedly they have some,
Yeah.
but why haven't we been able to get a lot more? I mean, if you think about the amount of hair certain creatures have, like dogs will molt, and things like that. They will shed lots of fur. I mean, with how big and hairy these things are, you think we'd be able to find a lot more if they did definitely exist.
So
Um,
I'm a firm believer that these things are real. I
right,
am. I'm not a skeptic on this. I'm a skeptic on certain things, as you've heard in our past shows, but I am not a skeptic on Bigfoot. I
right.
mean, look, just as like we did with the oceans, right? There's so much unexplored, right?
Oh
Even though
yeah,
we've explored all of our landmass for the most part, um, we haven't actually been to every single part of our land. Just
yeah,
because we've seen it from a satellite doesn't mean that we've actually been there.
right.
So,
And
I mean, there's large pockets of forested areas in North America.
oh yeah,
Despite what the global warming people want you to believe, there are huge pockets of forested areas still in the United States.
oh
Um,
yeah.
we have more of them now, I believe. I saw a report on it. Yeah, we have more trees now than in 1980, and we're cutting down millions of trees every single year. And we still have more than 1980.
Right.
So, I mean,
So,
I'm just saying, like, we have so much forested area, especially here in North America, that these things could hide anywhere.
oh yeah, and they seem to have a degree of intelligence with watching us and whatnot. That's not what I meant to send you. Give me a moment. So this is what I was alluding to earlier. If you can get this up on your screen, so there's a lot of debate about it. But this is supposedly the Gigantopithecus. Uh, um, from the times when they supposedly existed. Now, I feel like, relatively wise, compared to Bigfoot, I feel like it looks kind of accurate in what we could be seeing. Like, maybe not an actual Gigantopithecus itself, but possibly a descendant, like I said. Um, so, this thing, obviously much bigger than us, very hairy. So it's believed to be the largest ape, and many scientists do believe it was bipedal. I mean, it wasn't two legs. So
All right.
Could it
Is it
be?
extinct now or?
Well, yeah, supposedly Gigantopithecus went extinct, I don't know let's see, when did Gigantopithecus go extinct? Let me see. So, around 100,000 years ago.
Hmm.
Uh, the beginning and the last of the Pleistocene ice ages, it went extinct because in the changed climate, its size had become a fatal handicap, is what National Geographic is saying. So, um, it was from roughly 2,350,000 years ago during early to middle Pleistocene of southern China. I
Hmm.
mean, is it possible these things could have survived? I mean, possibly. I mean, the Bigfoot aren't large in number. They can't be large in number because if they were large in number, there'd be a lot more sightings, right? And I could definitely see it being feasible that some of them could have potentially survived.
What's the thing? You
Possibly,
said during the Ice Age. During the Ice Age is supposedly when humans crossed the Bering Strait and came to North America. Who's to say that these things
right. Pretty
didn't come
sure
there
these
with
things
them?
could
I mean,
survive,
if we could survive doing that,
right?
these things definitely could survive. I mean, look at them. They're giant with a
Look,
bunch of
yeah,
hair.
how much fur? Yeah, like that would keep them warm enough. Like it may not be perfect, it may not be properly suited to a cold enough climate, but it give them some degree of survivability. If we can do it just in fur clothing and stuff that we take from wolves, I could definitely see this thing potentially being able to survive the ice age. Who knows? Maybe a long time ago in the ice age, some of these, like we have zoos
So
today.
they didn't
Maybe some of them
necessarily,
worked in
yeah,
tandem with us
they
to a
didn't
degree.
necessarily derive from the United States because Canada has a ton of them too, as well. Ton of sightings
Right.
of them as well. So I mean, it makes sense that these things could have crossed the Bering Strait
Oh, most definitely. I mean,
and
it could be.
just settled here in North America, and then
Yeah.
they're presumed to go extinct because people that stayed over in Asia didn't see them anymore.
Right. And then we assumed they were extinct, possibly, and then now we're discovering them again because, I mean, when was the States founded in Canada? Like,
I mean,
a couple hundred years ago?
the land was settled by Europeans, about
Yeah.
300, 400 years ago. No, more than that. So 1400s is when they first came here.
Right. So, yeah, I could definitely.
I would say they came here in droves. They came here earlier than that with the Vikings, but
Right. And
almost 1,000 years ago.
I could
But
definitely see us losing information on them during that time, and now we're sort of, coming across them again, and now we're like, oh, there's a new creature called Bigfoot, and we've hardly seen any of them, and all that kind of
right.
stuff. It would make sense, logically speaking,
Hmm.
about why we would suddenly be like, oh my god, look, what's this thing? I feel like definitely possible they could have survived for the Ice Age. I mean, if we could do it, I mean, I'm assuming, like, we know apes can be very. Give a monkey enough time and whatnot, and you teach things. Monkeys can play video games and all sorts.
Okay, so
So,
I was wondering, um, about like the Native Americans, uh,
yeah,
that are here, and if they've seen anything about Bigfoot, and apparently that's where the term Sasquatch comes from.
right.
It's Native American.
Hmm,
Um,
very interesting.
yeah. Um,
So, could it be that, because they obviously have stories about this thing, Sasquatch and whatnot, before we started coming over there to them and whatnot, mingling with them when the English came across them, things of that nature.
so
Because
Sasquatch
obviously,
comes from
because we had some of the first entanglements with the Indians before the Americans did, when the British were looking to expand and whatnot.
So it comes from the
Um,
name of Sasquatch from the Halkuemilem language. I'm butchering these words, by the way. Language
yeah,
spoken by the First Nations people in southwestern British Columbia. So the natives. That's where the term
right.
Sasquatch is coming from. It comes from the natives. Um, so yeah, they have reports of these things. It's
Mm,
kind of unknown how far back,
yeah.
but yeah, they have reportings.
Right. So yeah, could definitely be. Could definitely be.
Hmm.
So am I actually a skeptic on Bigfoot? No, not necessarily. I believe Bigfoot does exist. Um, I don't believe it's alien. In that respect, I believe they are native, so to speak, to our planet. And
I think you and I might just crack some of the code here for this. The fact of
yeah,
the giant I can't pronounce that.
Gigantopithecus.
Yep, that
It's
thing.
it's hard.
That right
Yeah.
there is the Bigfoot. I'm
Right.
pretty sure that is, and because I mean it looks nearly identical to every single photo taken of him.
Right.
And if they went extinct during the Ice Age from China, that would line up with the Bering Strait and the migration of humans. They probably migrated as well, and now they're here in North
Yeah.
America, and that's why it's so prominent here in North America. I wouldn't say that they're all extinct across the globe. I think, like you said, there's apparently in England they've been spotted and things like that. But
I mean, they might have migrated with us, even. I mean, we do have instances where people actually have pet gorillas and things like that, and they get
yeah,
along with them.
so a lot of tribals and natives they think that Bigfoot is either they believe in Bigfoot stories either on actual encounters or mystical perceptions of natural spirits. So that's what they
Right.
see them as. So the Seminole, I can't even pronounce these terms. I cannot speak these languages, so
Yeah.
but they basically, if you were to say it in their language, it translates to tall man, tall hairy man. Um,
Hmm.
there's a whole bunch of this here.
Yeah. I mean, like Robin Williams, rest in peace. I don't know if you ever saw the footage of him with that gorilla and whatnot. It was absolutely beautiful. So, the man was in tears and he was interacting with this gorilla and whatnot. Gorillas can be with humans, very. Obviously, they're still wild animals, but we can domesticate them to a degree. I believe we could have possibly migrated and brought some with us and had some domesticated at the time. Maybe not something that continued long term,
So,
uh, but
uh,
I feel like we could have possibly brought some with us.
yeah, the Idaho State Historical Society
Mm,
uh, wrote a document. It was revised in November of 1970. But they were saying that prior to the white settlements of Idaho and eastern Oregon, those
mm,
Shoshone and northern oh God, I cannot pronounce these words. Paiute, Paiute. If I mispronounced it, I apologize.
mm,
Who occupied the country spent much of their time traveling over vast areas to search food. Among their truly distinguished leaders, How Luck, known later to the whites as Bigfoot, ranged with his band from the Boise region to the Klamath Lake and the Warm Spring Reservation of Central Oregon.
mm.
So the natives knew about this creature up in that region, and later on, the whites that settled the land would later call him Bigfoot,
Mm.
kind of terming where the term and name came from.
Yeah,
Um,
yeah. I definitely believe they migrated with us. I really do. I feel like they could have migrated with us. Possibly we gave some of them passage, maybe. I mean, we know we kept wild animals. Back before, dogs were a lot more common,
So okay, sorry.
some tribesmen had
Howluck was the
wolves and
name
things.
of the military commander at Fort Boise, but um but the band's from Boise region. Sorry, this is my first time reading this right here, guys. So um 1860s military map located Howluck's band in Boise Valley, and a small but is named for him near Steens Mountain in Eastern Oregon. Uh,
Right.
Howluck had 100 Snake Indians on Klamath Lake in September, where his band menaced wagon trains coming from California. So Howluck was the name of the Native American, I guess, commander for
Mm,
them.
yeah.
And it translated over to Bigfoot by the whites. That's what the whites called him.
Right.
And that's kind of where this
Yeah.
term is coming from. But they have heard of them. It does say throughout these documents and stuff that the Native Americans do recognize that there was Bigfoots. But that's more going
Mm,
over the actual name of you know.
yeah. Yeah. I'm convinced they are Gigantopithecus or descendants of possible genetic evolutions, maybe. Um, as all species have evolved. I mean, if that was around that 100,000
Yeah.
years ago, I could definitely see them evolving in that time, just like we
Yeah.
have.
Yeah.
Um,
I definitely see them migrating over here.
mm,
I'm gonna go with that theory. That's my theory now. That's what I believe in.
yeah,
I don't know if it's my theory. There's probably other theories that people have said that's what happened, and that's what this
yeah,
is. I'm probably not the first, but that's the theory I'm choosing to believe in.
yeah. That's what I believe as well. I mean, it would make sense. It's definitely possible. It's not within the realm of like impossibilities. I could definitely see that being a thing. A definite possible avenue for a possible Bigfoot today. Um, I mean,
So we're gonna,
animals are smart and will migrate and change territory in
yeah.
search of food. When their natural habitat gets destroyed, many get wiped out, but some can still thrive in other environments
All right.
and migrating. So I feel like they could have definitely survived the test of time, and they may not be large in number, but I feel like
All right.
considering how much land mass there is, they could be in the thousands, tens of thousands. Still that's a large number
All right.
considerably, but
So
compared to us,
we're
obviously
gonna
not as
we're gonna be
large.
going into a break here.
Hmm.
So I know we talked about this before the show, but is
Yeah,
that what you want to do for next week's? Is like the mythical creature thing, or
yeah. I'd like to go into myths and legends and
okay?
things. I feel like
So
that's a very interesting
if we're gonna
topic.
do that, then for the next part of the show, I was gonna talk about a story of an encounter I did have. I'll leave that as a mystery to everybody who's watching. We're not talking about that today. We'll talk about that next week.
Okay. Okay.
Yeah,
We you want to save it for then?
leave you guys on the cliffhanger here, cause tell you what, this is why I'm such a stern believer in these kind of things. Aliens I'm a bit skeptical on. Some things in the ocean
Yeah.
I'm a bit skeptical on, but Bigfoots and other mythical beings or creatures, I'm a
Mm.
firm believer because I've had a real life experience, and let me tell you, it's terrifying.
Yeah.
Well, I'll leave that for next week though. We're gonna go ahead and
Okay.
get into the break a little bit early. I need to go make myself some coffee. I've been up all night long, and I have
Yeah.
only slept for about an hour today. So I've done a lot
Okay.
of physical labor outside today in the yard. So uh, bear with me through the show tonight, guys. I'm a little tired, a little sleepy, but I will try to make this as entertaining as possible, and make sure you go get your tinfoil hats during this break.
Yeah. We'll see you soon, guys.
See you soon, guys. right. We are back.
All right.
Go ahead and mute the music here. All right,
Yeah.
we are back. All right. So yeah, I mean, where were we with this? Sorry. Again, I've barely slept, so I'm kind of like in a daze right now.
Well, I feel like since we're on the subject of Bigfoot, pivoting over to the Yeti. Now, the Yeti is similar in terms of Bigfoot. You know, it's said to be
Hmm.
a bipedal, ape-like creature, said to have sharp teeth and stuff like that. And the funny thing is, they derive from Asia, supposedly, in the Himalayan mountain ranges. Now, I don't know if many people know this, but Asia, if I was to drive to China from Asia, where Bigfoot is supposedly from, it's around a 11 to 12 hour drive. So very in this whole, supposedly in terms of the Yeti or the abominable snowman, as some people call it, derives in Asia. Now, many dubious articles have been offered in an attempt to prove the existence of a Yeti, including anecdotal visual sightings, disputed video recordings, photographs, and plaster casts of large footprints, right? But many are speculated or known to be hoaxes. But it is interesting because folklore is traced the origin of the Yeti to a combination of factors like the Sherpa folklore and misidentified fauna such as the bear or yak. But the Yeti is compared to Bigfoot in North America, like we said. So, supposedly there are tribes, Tibetan law, for example. So Tibetan people describe three main varieties of Yetis. There's the Nialmo, which is black fur and is the largest and fiercest, standing supposedly around 15 feet tall. The Chuti, which stands around 8 feet tall and is around 8,000 to 10,000 feet above sea level. And the Rangshim Bombo, which is reddish brown fur, is only 3 to 5 feet tall.
Hmm.
In Russian folklore, the Chichuna is an entity said to dwell in Siberia. It is described as 6 to 7 feet tall and covered in dark hair, according to the native accounts of the nomadic Yakut and Tungus tribes. Sorry if I mispronounced that. It is well-built Neanderthal-like man wearing pelts and bearing a white patch of fur in its forearms, said to occasionally consume human flesh, unlike their close cousins, the Almastis. Some witnesses report seeing a tail on the creature's corpse. It's described as being roughly 6 to 7 feet tall, and there are additional tales of large, including Bigfoot and the Abominable Snowman. Supposedly, there's been many expeditions done into the Himalayas, like 1921 and things like that. In the 19th century, the Yeti was part of pre-Buddhist beliefs of several Himalayan people as well. It's told that the Lepcha people worshipped a glacier being as a god of the hunt, and he also reported that the followers of the Bone religion, B-O-N, believed the blood of the Mai god or wild man had used in certain spiritual ceremonies, and the being was depicted as an ape-like creature who carries a large stone as a weapon and makes a whistling swoosh sound. Yetis were also adopted into Tibetan Buddhism, where it's considered a non-human animal, the Tiragioni, that is nonetheless human enough to sometimes be able to see one of these beings would be considered a bad omen, as it's supposed to be an enforcer of this Dharma. In 1925, a photographer supposedly captured images of Yeti footprints, and we have some footprints from 1944 taken by somebody known as C.R. Cook with an E in 1944 supposedly, and this is supposed to be, I'll get you the images now. Let me pop that through. This is supposed to be a Yeti footprint, supposedly. Now, if we're talking about Bigfoot, supposedly, the crossing with the Ice Age and whatnot being from around China, and Asia not being too far away, I could definitely see this being a possible relation of sorts, maybe some that didn't migrate, had evolved over time, possibly to adapt to the colder climate. I mean, we have bears. You know, we've got polar bears, for example. They are adapted to it. We have Arctic wolves and foxes, even rabbits
So,
in these snowy climates.
real
You know?
quick, just off that picture, I have it up on screen now. I do like how they did this. So for those of you who don't know, I used to work as an investigator while in the army for a brief while, and
Right.
as you can see, those sunglasses there, right? Those aren't just placed there for random reason, right? They're using it as a form of measurement,
Yeah.
right? So I do like that as well. I mean, I personally probably wouldn't have used those sunglasses because you can't tell what the brand is, you can't tell what kind of sunglasses they are, and all sunglasses come in different shapes and sizes. I would use something like a pen,
Right.
something more like a skill craft or a Bic pen or something like that.
Right.
But I do
But
I do understand their concept there is they're trying to show you the relevance of the size.
yeah. I mean, yeah, but what are your thoughts on it then? So, if we go with, like, me and you believe so far, Gigantopithecus, possibly being Bigfoot. What would you think of the Yeti possibly being a variant, possibly, that has adapted to
Oh,
the cold climate?
I absolutely think it is. Maybe not. It doesn't even have to be a variant that just adapted to cold climate. I mean, look, we got different pigmentations of skin as humans, right? Um,
Yeah.
we got dogs, right? We have different breeds of dogs, right? It might just be a
Mhm.
different breed of the Bigfoot. So
Right.
that's kind of where I'm at with it. That's what I believe is. Um,
Yeah.
so with that being said, oh my goodness. Okay, my stream is wigging out with the streamer chat right now.
Hmm.
Stop, please. Okay, we'll leave it there. Um, so I wanted to go over this right here. So two Everest climbers went missing after an alleged Yeti attack. Um, there's it doesn't have a date for it though. That
Hmm.
at least not one that I can see. I believe. Yeah. So they were 2/3 of the way up the mountain on Mount Everest, and they were with a group of eight. With a group of eight experimented climbers was
Hmm.
trying to make their ascent from South Col route on the Nepalese side of the Mount Everest. Incredible feat for any mountaineer. They had already climbed almost 2/3 of the mountain when they were suddenly attacked by a large ape-like creature. 6 members of the expedition were able to flee, uh, have returned safely to their previous camp, but 2 of the climbers are reported missing. 37-year-old
Hmm.
Indian climber Gopal
Yeah.
Nandi and 31-year-old German Christoph um, Honig, Honig, Honigman were unable to follow the rest of the group as they were the main targets of the creature's attack. Both men are believed to be severely injured or dead. And search parties have already been sent in order to find them. I do believe they are still missing or to this day, but I think they're dead at this point.
Hmm.
Um,
Yeah.
but yeah, so the other 6 claimed it was an ape-like creature that attacked them. That's 6 witnesses.
Right.
So you're trying to tell me that this does not exist, but 6 witnesses got attacked up there.
Hmm.
Yeah, no, I'm not buying that. I'm not
Yeah.
buying it. There's 8 of them. 2 of them went missing, and these
Yeah.
6, you know, just claim, oh well, yeah, there wouldn't be, there's no ulterior motive for them to kill them.
Right. I
I mean,
mean,
they
I
were
do
two
find
thirds
it
of the way up the
interesting
mountain.
because
They were already almost there.
Bigfoot were depicted as possibly peaceful, right? I mean, we
Whereas
don't know if
the
they are
Yetis are
definitely
not.
peaceful, but Yetis are not. Could it be that due to their climate, they are more ferocious? Maybe they adapted to more of
Well,
a
here's
uh,
my
not
belief in it.
carnivore diet, but
So supposedly Bigfoots are omnivores. They eat both meat and
Omnivores, yeah.
yeah, they eat both
That's the
meat
term.
and plants.
Yeah.
Um, Whereas Yetis tend to be more carnivorous, but I don't think necessarily that they are. Right?
Right.
I think they're more carnivorous than the Bigfoot, but I mean, you gotta look at what do they have to eat in their harsh climate conditions,
Right.
right?
More prey like
Yeah,
rabbits, things of that nature. I
rabbits,
mean, trying to
sheep,
find plants to eat
goats,
would be a lot
things like that,
harder.
and people because people
Yeah.
hike up there. So
Right.
that would be the cause I would say of all these attacks, right?
Yeah.
We're food. We're food to them going up there.
Yeah. I mean, it's not done to be
Yeah.
malicious. I feel like it's just
I
more
mean,
survival.
I mean, you gotta think. There's reports of cannibalism going up Mount Everest and out in Nepal and other places out there in the Himalayas. Right?
Right.
There's reports of cannibalism. Why? Because it's such a harsh climate. And when you run out of food and you're stranded, your buddy starts to look like fried chicken. You know?
Right. I mean, there was that famous crash. I can't quite remember the exact thing of it, but there was like a, I think it was like a football team or something that supposedly crashed into like an ice-like climate,
Mm.
and they had no choice but to resort to cannibalism. They begun eating their friends who perished in the cold climate because they needed food. And malicious or for the sake of, killing each other, but supposedly when some of them met their end through either malnourishment or whatever, they decided to eat them. It's a survival instinct that's ingrained into us all, survive. I mean, there was this horrible story that I heard, but I completely understand it. And many people are calling this man a monster. But he was lost in the Amazon, and he was an army soldier supposedly. He got stuck in the jungle. He was on his own, and he had a dog with him. And unfortunately, he had to resort to eating his best friend.
Mm.
Now that's a very sad and horrible story. That he had to do such a thing, but sometimes when you're hungry enough and desperate enough, it can turn you to such things, and that's a scary thought. But at the end of the day, we're all programmed to survive. It's part of our genetic makeup, so to speak, survival. I mean, when you get attacked, you go into fight or flight. Sometimes you don't care. You just survival is all you care about. Um,
And we could derail the conversation here for a little bit, but you and I had a discussion. Was it yesterday? I believe it was yesterday about humans. Right? We are so fragile on the food chain. You know,
right.
we're only top of the food chain because of our brains. We are able to make
Exactly.
tools, and we are able to we have critical thinking skills as humans. I know
Yeah.
maybe in today's day and age it may not look like it when you see that dummy on the road with their phone in their hand, but
Walking across the road, not looking.
yeah,
You know.
walking across the road like a zombie on their phone, not looking, and yeah,
Yeah.
but realistically, yes, humans have this critical thinking ability and the ability to make tools and then we also have a strong survival instinct. Um,
Right.
when you're most humans will never experience this, but when your fight or flight instinct kicks in, right? I've had it
Yeah.
kick in for me a couple times in my life, and when
Yeah.
that kicks in, your brain is like you're along for the ride. That's the best way I could
Right.
describe that, right?
Yeah.
You're not you, right? Your body and your mind are acting independently from what you want it to do. You could say I
Yeah.
want to run, but your brain and your body's telling you no, you're gonna whoop some butt,
Yeah. I mean,
and then you go and do it, and you're like, how did I do that? Why did I do that? And you think about this because you're there in the moment doing all that, but you have no control, none whatsoever.
yeah. I mean,
This is what those crimes of passion also come from too. It's
right.
that your fight. That's a fight or flight instinct that takes over your body. You're in a survival mode when those crimes of passion happen, and
Yeah.
you're there in the moment and you know you're doing it, but like you have no physical control over your body.
Right.
It
You
just
just
happens,
autopilot. Yeah.
right?
I
So
mean, sometimes you can go into critical thinking to a degree when you are in fight or flight, but your main instinct is survival at all costs,
right.
and it's kind of hard to explain it unless you experience it yourself. It's not something you
Yeah.
can easily explain to another
And
person.
that's the best way I could describe it to somebody because I've been through it a couple times now where
Yeah,
it's like you're there in the conscious mind, like you're seeing and you're knowing what's going on with you in your body, kind of in
yeah,
a way. Like you know what you're doing, but you have no physical control over yourself.
yeah,
Your body and your mind are communicating so rapidly that it's like, hey, go time. You got to do something. You either got to stand there and freeze, you got to
uh,
run away, or you got to fight. Like there's
snap
no
decisions. Yeah,
yeah.
um,
Your body just takes over. Your mind takes over, and it's like, hey, you're not in control anymore. Your consciousness is not in control anymore. I'm gonna let you
yeah.
watch, but you don't get to have that control.
I mean,
I'm
hmm,
yeah.
I'm not gonna go too much into it, but as you know, one of my best friends tried to kill me,
Right.
and I went into fight or flight during that moment.
Right.
Critically thinking, I was able to use my environment around me and escape, which saved my life. But you really do just go into autopilot. It's unbelievable how much it drives you. It's like you do go into autopilot. Your body just acts. You just do things. It's
Right.
crazy.
Right. Um,
Um,
but yeah, so that's just something. I just wanted to kind of go over that. Kind of derail the conversation away from the Yeti and Bigfoot stuff, and
yeah.
just say
I
like,
mean, even
we are
animals can
not
go into it.
as much as we say we're on top of the food chain. We're not. There's animals
No.
out there that are bigger, they're stronger, they're badder than us, and they could kill us.
Yeah.
They do kill
You
us.
you think you're a big old man? You built like a brick house. You can fight with the best of them.
We are
You go up against a bear, barehanded,
we
and that
are
bear's gonna mess you up.
we are the
You
dominant
know?
species on Earth, but we are not top of the food chain.
Oh no, we have like no natural gifts which benefit us really. I
Like I
mean,
said, beyond the ability to make tools and critically think and our
yeah,
survival instincts, that's it.
yeah, that's all we have going for
We
us.
are not climatized to any climate here on Earth.
We have no natural defenses on our bodies at all. We don't have thick
The,
skin or anything to
and then the
survive
only
puncture
other thing that
wounds.
we have going for us as far as like a food chain type benefit to us is we have opposable thumbs.
Right.
That's it. That is
Yeah.
absolutely it. Well, I shouldn't say that. Our legs too are kind of built like shock absorbers, so we're
Right.
naturally. I mean, again, looking at today's society, I wouldn't say so, but we are, as a human race, we are designed as runners. You know,
Yeah.
we are
I
designed to
mean,
be able to run, and that comes from our ancestry, dating all
yeah.
the way
Well,
back to when we had to run away from prey or
yeah.
predators. Sorry, when we had to run away
Or
from
even
predators
chase
or
down
chase prey
prey.
down. Yeah, chase down prey or run away
Like
from predators. We are
we
designed to
cannot.
run.
Yeah, we cannot keep up with, say, a deer. Like if that deer scalpels off, you are not catching it. But if you chase it long enough to a point it's exhausted, like we used to do back in those
Yes.
days,
So
we can catch it.
the human body is a
Great at sweating.
very fascinating thing,
Yeah,
right? And I can say this firsthand because when I was in the army, especially when I was stationed, you know, with an airborne unit and stuff, we used to run almost every single day. I would say
yeah,
3 to 4 days out of the week we'd run. Um,
right.
and we just ran constantly. And it wouldn't be like these little 2 mile runs. No, we'd go on like 5, 10 mile runs. And
Yeah.
I'm telling you, your body can do it.
Oh yeah.
So
You run
when
down
you're
the street to the shop and you think,
when
"Oh, I can't do this,"
yeah,
but you can.
your mind is telling you I can't do this. Your body is screaming and yelling at you. But ask any marathon runner, right?
Yeah.
Ask him about the running high, right? They call it a running
Hmm.
high, like if you were to get high off like a drug or something. You can get high off
Yeah.
of running. right? Your brain produces these chemicals in your, you know, up there that essentially numb that pain, and you almost
Yeah.
get into this like bliss state to where
Yeah.
you just keep going, right? You just don't stop. You have the stamina, right? I've seen the biggest big bodies. I won't call them that F word there, you know, but the biggest big body guy or guys or gals, right? I've seen them run these 10 miles.
Right.
You know, they do it. You know, they might take a quick little like, okay, I gotta stop, catch my breath real quick, and then they go, but they don't stop, right? They're constantly moving and they're going.
Right.
You know, and so these bigger people who are like, oh, I can't do that, I can't do it. No, you can. You absolutely
You
can.
can. You just have to have the mindset.
Your body is designed to do that, regardless of how big you are or how skinny you are. You are designed to do that. You are designed
Yes.
to your body is designed for cardio and to run.
Yeah. I mean, the one major benefit that we have as a human species is our ability to sweat. Unlike most creatures on this planet, they don't have the best way of, I think it's called perspiration,
Mhm.
ways to get heat out of their body. But our ability to sweat is what gives us that ability.
Right.
Because of that, we're able to regulate our
Yeah.
temperature a lot better, and that what gives us
I was
a
about to say,
massive
man.
advantage to our stamina.
Yeah, I was about to say, man, like I was drenched every single time I did those runs. Just absolutely
Yeah.
drenched. I would start that run dry, and it would look like it was raining outside by the time I was done.
Yeah.
Like I'm not talking like a light rain, too. I'm talking like hurricane rains. Like that's how I looked.
Yeah.
But I completed them, and you know I did stuff that I never believed my body could do.
Right. I mean, I probably couldn't do to the extent that you did, but if I was
Oh
in
yeah,
such a
you could.
situation, I could.
And
If the
it
right
does take
situation,
it
because it is
takes
mindset as well.
So when I came into the army, right, I couldn't pass
Mm.
my 2 mile, right? When I was first
Mhm.
trying it out, I could not pass it to save my life. I sucked at running.
Yeah.
But with proper training and understanding that it's not my body that's not allowing me to do it, it's my mind that's not allowing me to do it. You have to push through
Right.
that pain to get to that
Yeah.
bliss.
All mental.
Yeah, it's all mental. Every bit of it is
Yeah.
mental. You have to
I
overcome
mean,
that mental block of I can't do that and just do it. And then when you do it that first time, you're like, "Wow, I did it. I can do it again."
yeah. I mean, have you guys ever been like jogging, for example, right? And you're getting like really tired, but you know that you're close, and you're just like, you know what, I can do this, and then you manage to just give yourself that little bit of oomph because you know you're close. It's like that sense of if I stop now, I'm not going to get there, but if I really push it, you know, I'm so close. You push yourself a little bit further. That's you mentally fortifying yourself to do it. Like
Right.
it's easy to say I can't do it, but
So,
sometimes if you get yourself in the right mindset, you can push past it and be like, you know what, I got this. I got this. I'm going. And
okay. So
hmm,
we took that little derailment. Well, little derailment. We started
that's
off
what
at
I
yeah. We
mean,
started off in the United States, going
yeah,
chugging along to the west, and we ended up in Mexico there.
yeah, yeah.
But
But I mean, like, yeah. I mean, if we look at like wildlife and things like that in these Arctic regions, in these harsh climates, you kind of have to be. I mean, rabbits can survive because they're small, but a much larger creature requires much more food. So Yetis being omnivores and possibly having more of a inclination to meat, whereas Bigfoot kind of being like more herbivore like, not being so aggressive, is very understandable because they have an abundance of food in the forest, But up there in these cold climates, definitely I could see Yetis being a lot more violent, seen as food. Because at the end of the day, survival.
so
You can domesticate an animal, right? And
yeah.
that can be your best friend. You can merge him with a pack of
So
wolves, and you could hang around these pack of wolves, and
there
they'll all be
is
friends with you.
one
But if they are
problem.
hungry enough, they will turn on
I
you.
got one problem with all these theories, though, is
Yeah,
that most of the time these Yetis, Bigfoot, whatever you call them, they're typically in mountainous areas, right?
right.
Mountainous areas. North America, they're usually in the forest and mountain areas, so they're not so much prominent in the Rockies as they are in the Appalachian areas.
Right.
But Yetis, they're up in like the Himalayas. But
Yeah.
and even the ones from Russia, I was looking them up during the break. They're also in mountainous areas out in Siberia.
Right.
However, at least for humans and for a lot of animals, when you're higher in elevation, you tend to be shorter,
Right.
and
Which is quite
that
strange.
well, it
But
contributes to oxygen,
I
right?
I want to bring something up here, in regards to that because in 2004, Henry G. Editor of the journal Nature mentioned the Yetis and example of folk believed deserving further study, writing the discovery that Homo florenziensis survived until so very recently, and they were found in Lingbua Cave, and they were supposedly around 1.1 meters or 3 foot 7 feet in height. So, as you've heard me talk about in previous things, there's different humans, different humanoids. Now, they were supposedly around 50,000 years ago, and these were much smaller humans, possibly where certain people with, I believe it's
Oh,
called, I don't want to
well,
offend anybody, but some call it dwarfism.
one of the most
Could it be that?
famous groups out
Hmm,
there actually fight for the British are the Gurkhas,
hmm,
and
right.
they're not much taller than 4 feet ish. Some are a little
Yeah,
bit taller, but they're small. They're small people. Very very fantastic warriors though. Fantastic warriors. These guys.
yeah.
They have the heart of iron, literally.
Hmm,
Uh, they, but they have unmatched endurance and stamina, and that would correlate with being where they're from and the altitude. Um, but they're smaller because there's less oxygen up there. So yes, so while they may have more stamina than the average person, they're also significantly shorter than the average person.
yeah.
And I would
Well,
assume that would take place with Yetis and Bigfoot and all that as well.
yeah. I mean, so like I said, with the Florenziensis, so until very recently, in geological terms, they say that it makes it more likely that stories of other mythical human-like creatures such as Yetis are found on grains of truth. That's what they believe. Now, I don't believe they are as big as possibly Bigfoot. I feel like they would be smaller. But they could be, polar bears are large, that they are large creatures, but they tend to be more sea level wise. There's a lot more oxygen for them. But supposedly the footprints that they found in the regions of Nepal are around 13 inches in length with 5 toes. So 33 centimeters, 13 inches in length, 5 toes measure a total of 25 centimeters, 9.8 inches across. So it's one of those. If we're supposedly finding these footprints, could there be things that are that bigger up in these altitudes? Like maybe they don't require as much oxygen, or that they've adapted to being able to survive in that amount of oxygen. Who knows? I mean, until we get a live specimen or a deceased specimen, we won't fully know their genetic makeup. Maybe they have other ways of possibly oxygenating, maybe, or producing some form of survivability in these climates. But I do understand completely where you're coming from in terms of, they should be smaller. But then there are different forms of Yetis, as I mentioned earlier, where we believe there are the Nialmo, which is supposed to be the largest, supposedly 15 feet tall. I think that's a bit of hogwash. But the Chuti was around 8 feet tall, and the Rangshin Bombo was around 3 to 5 feet tall. So possibly they could be the Yetis.
Hmm.
Um, maybe, you know,
Right.
that's in Tibetan law if they do exist.
Yeah. I'm gonna try and pull up this video here.
I mean, I'm curious. How big are a bear's footprints? How big is a bear's footprint? So the tracks are 5 feet, approximately 3.5 to 4 inches wide and 7 inches long.
May 2000.
Right. Compared to human, roughly around the same size, or bigger, depending on the size of the bear. It could be much bigger.
Yeah.
I could see it being feasible they
Oh.
have a bigger feet, while
All right.
not being as tall.
I'm gonna take a quick little short break here, like maybe 2-3 minutes, just while I
Right.
look up this video and come back to you guys, pull it up for you, so that way we can watch and listen to this.
Right.
All right. All right. So I believe I have a video. I'm not gonna play the video, as I don't want to get any kind of like forms of copyright or anything. I'll play the video as far as the sound goes, but I'm not gonna play it as far as the actual video. Um, I'm gonna turn up my audio on this because it is very low.
Right.
All right, so let's take a listen in.
I don't know.
So that yelling in the background is supposedly the Bigfoot. Yeah, and this video is it says Bigfoot sounds in Oregon. All right.
Right.
So that's what that sound is. I'm gonna play it again real quick. I'm gonna start at 30 seconds and I'll play from there. You can hear a woman in the background taking the video as well.
Right.
Alright, let's play it one more time. So you can hear it like this, and it correlates with what we've heard in the past, as far as like that howling sound that they make. I'm not even gonna try to imitate it because I want to sound like an idiot doing it.
Yeah.
But yeah, so that was one video of it. There's a few more. There's this one right here. This one's Bigfoot screams, longest audio in the world.
When it's crunch time.
Okay, and I got an ad, so we'll go ahead and mute real quick.
Okay.
Okay.
100%.
So all right. So let's go ahead and get this video playing here. It's right around here, I believe. I'm just gonna let this play over for a bit.
Right.
See, it's very similar to that last video. The last one was more like a howl. This is more like a growl kind of scream.
Yeah.
What the fuck is?
Okay, and there we go. The guy just swore. Yep. But all right. So yeah, the guy's like, "What the f is that?" Right? Like, what is that?
Right.
You know? Because literally, the guy's out in the woods, right? He's out camping out in a cabin with his, I guess, his wife or whoever, right?
Yeah.
And this video is 14 minutes and 56 seconds. Bigfoot screams, and then parentheses, longest audio in the world, right? And it's literally like almost the entire 14, almost 15 minutes of this thing, of this, whatever it is out in the woods, growling and yelling and screaming.
Right. I mean that sounds nothing like anything like a bear or a wolf. So there's no way you could confuse the two. That sounds nothing even close.
Right. And that's
like,
what
what could possibly
I'm
making that noise?
Excuse me. But yeah, like. Yeah, so it's just you know, what is that then? You know, I mean, that's like the Blair Witch Project for that video right there.
Right.
Like,
yeah,
they're out in the middle of the woods in this cabin and they're hearing this, you know. And this is not the only reports of these things. I mean, you can go on YouTube and you can find hundreds of videos like this. Of these just like howling noises out in the woods. And they're all over. They're in Oregon, they're in West Virginia, they're in Texas, they're in Louisiana, they're in Ohio, they're everywhere. Canada, up in British Columbia and the Yukon. They're all the way out in Asia and Europe and Africa. They're everywhere.
Yeah, that'd be terrifying being out there with that. Like, I'd be pooping myself, you know? I'd be like, what the frick is that?
Being in the middle of nowhere out in the woods, and then you're hearing that in the middle of the night.
Right. Yeah, no, I don't want to imagine hearing
so
that.
A podcast I was listening to, late night talk show radio, right? Podcast. The guy was they had a Bigfoot like expeditionist, right? He would go out there and like look for sightings of Bigfoot. Him and a buddy of his, it was three of them. Him, his buddy, and a cameraman went out into the middle of the woods up in Appalachia, and I believe it was West Virginia they were in. And they only brought a tent with them. Well, they started hearing like that howling noise out in the woods. So they immediately grabbed the camera and they started recording. And as they were doing that, their tent started to shake violently. Well, one of their tents started to shake violently, and I guess one of them got tossed around a bit.
Right.
His tent got picked up and tossed around, and the guy was in pretty bad shape. Like he was pretty hurt. They had to bring him to the hospital after the attack was over. But they said that the sounds came from the distance, and as they got closer and closer and closer, then they heard their friend screaming, and they went out to go check because his friend had the camera.
Right.
And the camera, the footage of it, literally, you could see the guy in the tent getting just like thrown around.
Damn.
It was incredible. Like,
Yeah.
he survived. He's fine now. But and the cameraman for it even said like, what an amazing experience, terrifying but amazing experience to have that happen. That a Bigfoot
Yeah.
attacked him in his tent.
Right. I mean, yeah, I'd be. Just being in that situation, it'd be. Oh, man. Like, the fact that someone's able to pick up a tent with you in it and just chuck you about.
Right, yeah.
Yeah, no, get me out. Get me out of this flipping tent. Get me out of this flipping tent. Like, I'd be peeing myself.
Right, yeah.
No. That'd be a worse nightmare scenario because even if I got out this tent, what am I gonna do? Like, I'm better off staying in the tent. Imagine me getting out of it. If this thing's throwing me around in the tent, what's it gonna do to me outside the flipping tent? I mean,
Right.
if that's not a sign to go away, like that's a sign to go away. Like that's an obvious flipping get out,
Right.
go away.
Yeah. Well, what was crazy is they said after he recovered from the hospital, they went back out there, and they got more sounds. I'm like,
Leave.
Leave.
That's a sign. Leave. Do not antagonize whatever that is, because if that thing gets hold of you,
It doesn't want you there.
yeah.
It made it clear. It does not want you there. Go away.
Yeah.
Leave.
I mean, it's not going to do that without a sufficient reason. Like, it's not just going to randomly walk up to a tent and just start throwing it around with somebody inside of it. Like, that thing's obviously trying to give you a warning.
Later on, as they reviewed the footage and they reviewed the audio, they actually discovered that there was multiples out there.
Right.
There's a lower howl, like, and then there's like a louder,
larger
raspy howl. And they said the lower one was probably a more adult Bigfoot, whereas the higher raspy one was more like a kid, probably.
Yeah.
That's what their assumptions is of that.
Probably close to the home, probably done some out of defense and fear,
So, and the thing is,
possibly a
like,
family living nearby, territory.
These guys didn't really do much research during the day or go out during the day and look for anything.
Right.
They only went out they only stayed in their tents at night, and then when that happened, it happened at night, and they were like, which makes me think, are these things nocturnal? Because a lot of these sightings happen at night. Sometimes during the day, but most of them at night.
Yeah, I mean, possibly.
And I would assume, these things have a degree of intelligence, like we've said. So maybe they live in some sort of form of shelter, like a cave.
Possibly, yeah. I mean,
which I want to talk some more about that topic, not as far as Bigfoot, but as far as other anomalies next week as well, about cave creatures.
Yeah.
Because I got some experiences with that as well. So that'll be fun. But yeah, I think these things might live in some caves and stuff, similar to like what bears do.
Yeah.
But yeah, that's not a bear. That's not a bear howl.
No, a bear. That's definitely not a bear howl. And if it was a bear, they would not be picking up your tent.
Yeah,
they'd be trying to rip your tent and get to you.
That was a full-blown howl.
Yeah.
A bear roars.
Right.
Similar more to a lion. It roars like that.
Roars or grunts or, not.
That was a howl.
That's, yeah.
And this guy's tent was picked clean off the ground with stakes in the ground. It was picked straight up and tossed.
Yeah, with the size of these things, the strength they would have. Gorillas are much stronger than we are. If a gorilla, went into a wrestling match for you, you're gone. I'm sorry, a gorilla will. They're massively stronger. They have a much stronger upper body strength, and if they are a form of ape-like creature, they're going to have massive strength.
We don't have gorillas in Appalachia.
No.
We don't have that there, so.
Yeah.
The biggest bear or the biggest creature that we know that's really out in Appalachia is probably the grizzly. That's the biggest animal out there, is the grizzly bear.
Yeah.
Those things are massive too, but I mean, that wasn't a bear. That wasn't a grizzly bear. I've heard grizzly bears at the zoo. I know what they sound like.
Yeah.
That was not.
Right.
That was not a grizzly bear.
Yeah.
But
I mean,
we're coming up on break here. I will leave you with this: that Sasquatches are real, and if you don't believe me, watch a Slim Jims commercial from the '90s. And with that,
yeah.
we're heading into a break.
Yep. Sounds good.
is the top of the hour, 7 o'clock Eastern Standard Time. Or 1900 if you prefer that. Just want to say, if you guys haven't already noticed, I had no preparation for this episode whatsoever.
Yeah.
I didn't really have a lot of time to prep for this episode. I got everything set up the day that we finished our last episode, and then I got slammed with work and other responsibilities around the house. So, I didn't get to do a lot of research into this, which is kind of unfortunate, and I'm kind of winging this right now because this is a topic I do highly enjoy. Hopefully, things are going to settle down here. Now that everybody I work with is back at work. We had 2 people that were out this last weekend, and I just got slammed with a lot of responsibilities there. I've been extremely tired coming home from work, and I just go straight to sleep. But things are going to normalize out as of next week, hopefully, and a lot of the yard work and stuff around the house is done, so I'm good to go for the next few episodes. As Aaron said, I think we're going to do
myths and legends,
and cryptics and things like that.
Creatures and things, supposedly.
Right.
During the break, I did find something very interesting that I'd like to go over when we're ready.
Yeah.
Teddy Roosevelt wrote a story which he calls the Goblin Story.
Yep.
But it's very similar themes to Bigfoot. And this was a story he was told by somebody, which I think is very interesting. I linked you the video. And around 18 minutes in, it goes into it. Supposedly, there was a hunter which had perished. And there were a bunch of guys that had dismounted from their horses as they couldn't continue up this trail. And they'd set up camp, and supposedly this camp had been ransacked by what appeared to be a bipedal creature. They were sure it wasn't a bear, but they weren't too sure, and they'd camped out at this location, and supposedly they felt like they were being watched. And in their lean-to, they spotted a large figure and took a shot at it, supposedly. And it darted off. Now, this thing was across the river from them, supposedly letting out long, drawn-out moans, which I think we could possibly...
Are you talking about right here? I got it up on screen now.
So, this guy will explain it better than me, because obviously, I just gave it a brief watch. We got about 80 minutes in, there's a story that Teddy Roosevelt included.
Okay, let's take a listen in.
But definitely fascinating, and could possibly be a Bigfoot.
Those start popping up in the 60s, 70s, and 80s. But legends regarding the creature we've come to see as Bigfoot go back a hell of a lot farther than that. And we're going to use Theodore Roosevelt for this one. Because in The Wilderness Hunter, a book that came out in 1889 or 1893, depending on which source you look at, he describes not his own encounter, but he retells a story given to him by a man named Bauman. And Roosevelt, to be clear, refers to this as a goblin story. Not a Bigfoot story, not a Sasquatch story, not a Wendigo story, just a goblin story. And if you go and you look this story up, you're going to find certain versions of it that say it's called the Wendigo and that's what it's about, but I think that might be just a misunderstanding. Now, Roosevelt is, of course, the godfather of American conservationism. He is the guy who started the National Forest Service, though he was not the guy who started the first national park. That was Yellowstone, and it was long before he was ever in power. But the National Park Service was a product of the National Forest, as he and a having very much luck, so they decided to head up into a nearby pass that was known for having a lot of beaver. However, the pass had a dark reputation because the previous year, a hunter had been found killed and half-eaten by a group of local prospectors. Not totally strange. If you're off hunting alone, you could get attacked by a mountain lion, by a bear, by a pack of wolves. Any number of things could happen. but still, it had an evil reputation as a result. Now, Bauman and his unnamed partner, of course, had ridden ponies up into the mountains because that was, an easier way to do things, but they got to a point where the terrain was not suitable for horses, dismounted, tied them off, left them with some food, and decided to head up into the pass for a couple of days. According to Roosevelt's story, Bauman and his partner hiked for another 4 hours and then set up camp in a clearing they came across. They were left with another hour and a half or two of daylight and spent that time exploring the creek and setting up traps so that they could spend the next day just checking traps and setting further traps. However, upon returning to their camp, they were surprised to find...
Okay. So, I'm going to pause there because he's got a long story with this.
Yeah. So, I'll give you the brief rundown. If you want to check out that video where people can actually watch it themselves, it's called... The Law Lodge is the channel, Missing 411, the Sierra Camp Tapes, and Bigfoot. But essentially, the camp ended up being ransacked. There was supposedly bipedal creature that took a shot at. They don't know whether they missed it or not, but it ran off. It was supposedly moaning at them from across a creek and stalking them. And one of them went off on his own. And when he came back, his partner was found dead. His neck had been snapped. There were teeth marks in his neck. And again, there was loads of bipedal footprints. And if this was a mountain lion, as he explains, generally they would kill and then take the body away. A bear would eat it on the spot and then drag some of the rest of it away. But no, he'd just been left there, and the killing had been recent when he found this guy. So, his partner basically had been killed, and he told this story to Theodore Roosevelt, Teddy Roosevelt, and he basically wrote about it, which I find quite interesting. So supposedly there was a bipedal creature, doing long, drawn-out groans at them from across the lake or creek, whatever. So it was watching them, it was pacing back and forth, which sounds similar to Bigfoot activity, and obviously those groans we heard earlier. Which I feel is quite...
Well, there's a theory that he created the National Park Services because of all these mysterious disappearances and things that have been going on in those areas.
Right. Yeah. Well, yeah, he had teeth marks in his neck and whatnot, but he hadn't been eaten or anything. But he'd just been left there. There's no intention to look off. But oddly enough, the woods was incredibly silent during this time, unlike earlier. So, could it have been possibly a Bigfoot getting aggressive because they were encroaching on its territory, or its family were nearby, and it was trying to get them to leave because they wouldn't, essentially.
There's also a story that I don't have a link or nothing for this because this isn't something that I found online, but because there's no factual evidence to this story. But supposedly during the Lewis and Clark expeditions of the Louisiana Territory with Native American Sacagawea and all that, supposedly they were attacked by a Sasquatch and they had to take refuge in a cave overnight. Again, there's no record of this. There's no recordings of this. There's no writings to this. This is all just urban legend and myth. So take that story with with a grain of salt there, and did it happen or not? We don't know. We simply just don't know. Because supposedly the journals that were written for those days that when that occurred, those journals went missing, and supposedly there is a journal that is missing from the Lewis and Clark expedition. that much. It's still speculated too. Is that some people say, oh, they just didn't write those days. Some people say there's a journal missing. So there's a debate among the history buffs.
Yeah.
But you know, you decide on that, what you want to believe on that. But supposedly, there's word of mouth account that they were attacked by a Sasquatch, Bigfoot, whatever you call it. And they took refuge in a cave during that time, and that story got passed down not through Lewis and Clark, but through the Native Americans. That their guide, you know, which Sacagawea and all that, you know, that they're the ones who passed it down.
Yeah.
And that's where the story comes from.
I mean, it's interesting. I mean, so if we take the tent fiasco with, you know, it being thrown around supposedly and whatnot, you know, we have, you said there was footage of it.
Yes.
So could it be that they are generally peaceful for the most part?
I do want to say,
if you encroach on territory, they may get violent.
I have not found the footage on YouTube, but it is on God, what's it called? George Norrie. He was the guy on the show. He's a very famous guy. If you don't know who he is, go look him up. He's amazing.
Yeah.
George Norrie's show. He had a guy there on the show that was telling the story about it, and there is links to it on his website.
Right.
So it is pretty interesting and pretty amazing to see. I did some more research into it, and apparently the two other guys that were in the other tents, they slept through the whole thing. They slept through the entire thing, didn't hear a peep. It was just a cameraman that woke up. And it wasn't until it was over with that they finally woke up and realized what happened. And then I guess after they came back from the hospital and they went back out there, and those howlings happened again, the cameraman woke up again to it, but the other two stayed asleep. And supposedly, there is this theory that these Bigfoots have some sort of sleep paralysis thing that they're able to do to us. And that's why there's so few viewings of them.
Interesting.
Yeah.
So I'm not too believing into sleep paralysis kinds of things. That much is a bit, I don't know. But I have no way of being shown or proved like a real sleep paralysis. I mean, I know people supposedly go through this sleep paralysis thing where they can't move, but they're awake and they can't move their bodies. That's supposedly sleep paralysis, to my understanding from what people are supposedly claiming happens to them. It's like they can't move, they feel like they are stuck, and supposedly they see things, and it's a terrifying experience. That's what I know from
about
sleep paralysis. But that kind of sleep paralysis sounds different.
Yeah, about 4 or 5 years ago, I had a fit of sleep paralysis. Like, I was having it every single day. And it's a terrifying experience.
Yeah.
To where, especially, like, because I was in the Army at the time, and it would always happen at, like, 5-ish, 5:30 in the morning when my alarm would go off. I'd wake up, I wasn't able to move. And I was, honestly, like, this is going to sound weird, but I was more afraid of not being able to move and not be able to go to formation than I was that I couldn't even move.
Right.
It's like, that's how brainwashed I was from the military. I was more afraid about showing up late to work because I couldn't move than an actual medical condition that was wrong with me.
Right.
So, but it is a terrifying experience.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, that kind of sleep paralysis I do believe in, but the kind you're explaining where these creatures could suddenly force it upon you and make you be sleep paralyzed, I feel that a bit far-fetched.
So, I'm going to ask you this question real quick, so I am beat right now. But,
Right.
Do you want to continue on for the last hour, or do you want to end this at 8?
Well, if you're beat, probably best to try and get yourself some rest. I mean, your health is important at the end of the day, bro.
I didn't sleep last night, and I slept for maybe an hour total today, so I am exhausted. I will go to the end of this hour, but
right.
I'm thinking about ending this an hour early because I got to get some rest, guys.
Yeah, that's fair. If you need rest, it's obviously very important.
Yeah.
I recommend we do bring it to a close if you
tell y'all what,
need
I'll make it up to you on Halloween because we're doing that special that day.
Oh yeah, definitely. But yeah, your health's more important than the podcast right now. If you need to sleep, you need to sleep. At the end of the day, your health is important.
Yeah, I really did want to stay longer, but I can't be helped with that. I gotta get some rest. I'm falling asleep talking right now.
I mean, we're gonna run out of things to talk about probably in this hour anyway. Because I don't know how much more we can discuss Bigfoot really, other than
I mean, if I had
sightings and things.
If I've done more homework on this, I could talk about this for hours on hours. I could probably do a 24-hour podcast on it.
Yeah.
There's so much into this, but again, I've never experienced anything like this. I have heard strange things in the woods. I've heard those kinds of howls before, so maybe I've heard of Bigfoot before.
Maybe.
I never saw anything, so I can't confirm. But this is one thing that I 100% believe in. I definitely think it exists. I think there's multiples of them. I don't think it's just one, like some people think. And looking at the Giganta, whatever.
Bifficus.
Yep, the giant ape. Yeah. I definitely think that might be it.
Yeah, I agree.
At least a species of it.
Yeah, I completely agree with you there. That's my theory on the subject as as.
Here's the thing about it's just too coincidental that they look that similar to each other, and they supposedly went extinct, as far as we know, in Asia at least.
Yeah.
At the time of the Ice Age, but yet the people were migrating north and coming around the Bering Strait at that time.
Right, and then
and then all of a sudden nowadays there's all these sightings in North America. And I think the population of them are growing.
Yeah, I mean, you think about the amount of habitat we're destroying as well. It could be possible we're kind of forcing them into being found to a degree, possibly destroying their habitat, and they're being forced to move, inland or to different locations because of it. And that's why we're suddenly getting more sightings, deforestation and all that kind of stuff. We know it can have an impact on various wildlife, destroying their homes and whatnot. Could be the same for these creatures. In terms of Yetis, I believe they are probably the same thing, but just a variant, really, so to speak,
Right.
More acclimatized to the snowy environment, probably more vicious, killing for a need to sustain themselves rather than, just outright aggression. Because in those types of conditions, do I believe that they're like 11 feet tall, as one of them suggests? No, I feel like because the lack of oxygen, I don't think something that big could survive up there. But then again, I could be wrong, But possibly something being more around 5 to 8 feet, I could see it. Potentially being more feasible. Having larger footprints than us, I can also see being feasible. If we take a look at gorillas' footprints and chimpanzee as in some cases. So I could definitely see something being like 5 to 8 feet tall, having much larger footprints, definitely feasible as well. scientifically speaking, possibly needing larger feet to, more surface area to not sink in the snow so much, and also possibly being able to get a better grip on the terrain so they don't slip and slide.
Okay, so this page I just found. This is an encounter report database, right? So reports.woodape.org, right?
Yeah.
And this has every reporting of Bigfoot.
Mm.
It has a case number, the year it happened. There's a classification, I guess, and the state, county, and a summary of what happened. So the last one reported was in 2023. It's a 1D, which is a visual encounter with a Sasquatch or Bigfoot. So it says husband and wife observed massive figure at back of property. 3A classification. Sighting or possible wood ape evidence reported by credible witnesses. This is 2023 as well. Texas, Austin was the county. Woman reports an encounter with leaping man-like ape as she drives down her driveway. Those are the only two from 2023.
Right.
Next one after that was 2021 with a 3B classification. Sightings or possible wood ape evidence reported by credible witnesses as well. Unidentifiable vocalizations were reported. This was in Missouri and Taney County. Wife is frightened by reoccurring nightly visits while inside RV. And I mean, there's 31 pages of this, going all the way back to 1917.
Yeah.
So this is a very, I would say, credible type website as well, and you can submit your instance as well.
Right. I mean, I personally have never experienced a Bigfoot-like phenomenon. Again, I live, I don't live near forests or woodlands, so I probably never will, unless I was to possibly camp out somewhere.
There's a lot of Texas and Oklahoma sightings on here.
Yeah.
Couple Louisiana.
It would be absolutely terrifying to experience something that large being nearby. I mean, I'm surprised with the amount of guns in the US. I'm surprised there's never been like an actual shooting and potential loss of life due to fear or something along those lines.
Well, so the thing about North America or United States with the guns, right? A lot of the people just don't go off firing their guns, right?
Oh, I know that.
Even at stuff
ignorant.
that they see out in the woods, right? Like,
Yeah.
the reason why they don't shoot at these things, a lot of people is, what if it's a person, and then you just shot that person and killed them. Now you're going to prison for life or death sentence, So
Right.
that's why a lot of them won't do that. They don't want to risk that possibility.
Yeah, makes sense.
I know, like, I own guns. I'm not going to go off my back porch here, and if I see something, I would shoot at it. I want to confirm what it is first before I try and shoot something.
I mean, it could be an accidental thing, more so if I wasn't inquiring that Americans just shoot things and all that kind of stuff, not being that ignorant. I figured that, maybe something might have happened in an altercation at some point, possibly hunters in the woods being attacked and, an unfortunate circumstance happens, but, yeah.
I will leave, I will say this, I'm not going to leave you guys with it, but what I will say is, especially those in North America, if you do see a Bigfoot, right, or you kill a Bigfoot, right, you shoot one, if that's what you do, right? I'm not encouraging you to just go shoot off your gun, but if you can confirm it's not human, and it's some Bigfoot, right, and you're 100% certain, and you shoot and you kill it, right, don't call the government. Don't do it. Right? Because next thing you know, you're never going to be heard from again. I promise you that.
Yeah.
The government is going to take you away. But first off, collect the body of it. All right, and keep it a secret.
Yeah.
Don't tell your coworkers. Don't tell your family. Don't tell your friends. Don't tell nobody, except a credible news reporter that you trust. Find one that you trust and have them come out to your place of residence and look at and examine the body and then run the story on it. Because when it gets out there on the news, the government can't hide it like that. They won't be able to.
Yeah, it could be the reason why.
They'll try to. They'll try to cover it up.
Oh, yeah.
But get some good pictures of it, too. And make sure that news reporter gets it and they run that story.
Yeah. I mean, they'll try and frame it as a hoax. Like, they'll try and it out, but...
There's going to be those people that are going to frame it as a hoax, but, get the truth out there. Go to these websites I mentioned in the podcast here. Go to those websites and, report it on there, too, after the fact. Get the story out there first, then go report it.
Yeah, I mean, I'd love for the opportunity to see a Bigfoot, possibly interact with them, but I don't think it's wise. If you see a Bigfoot, don't try and walk up to it and be like, "Hi there, friend." Just don't do it. That guy getting thrown around inside of the tent. I feel like they are possibly, the type of species that's kind of like, I'll leave you alone, you leave me alone, unless they feel a need to come towards you. But do not try and walk up to one of these things, because they may get defensive.
From what we know and what we've, from the stories that we've heard, they're very territorial.
Yeah. So stay a suitable distance if you can.
So if you hear that howl, turn around. Go back the way you came.
Oh yeah.
And keep an eye out. Make sure you're not being tracked down. Just keep an eye out and go back the way you came and get the safety. Because I'm thinking that howl is probably a warning sign of stay away.
Kind of like how a cat may hiss at you because it's like just say stay away. It's not because it's going to attack you, but more so just being like, hey, you're encroaching on me. I'm uncomfortable. Go away. It could just be like a warning sign like that sort of thing. I highly recommend do not approach these things if you do see one.
Right.
If you can help it, just go the other way. Leave it alone.
And for the love of God, get a good picture.
Yeah.
Stop taking pictures on your flip phones, people. For God's
Either
sake.
Nokia 2010 or something, or bloody, I don't know, 2003 phone.
Yeah.
Why is every supposed sighting of a Bigfoot always on these terrible
must be taken with iPhones.
1990s photographs?
Must be taken with iPhones.
Yeah, like I just don't know why they're always so terrible. Yeah. I mean,
all these people with iPhones. Oh, I got great 4K pictures. Takes a picture of Bigfoot. It's grainy. Like, right. Yeah, okay. Where's your 4K picture then?
Maybe they have some telepathy in the other way to interfere with cameras. But yeah, that's why I feel like a lot of people have such a hard time believing in Bigfoot as well. And many other things like ghosts, all that kind of stuff. They're always so terrible. That's why so many humans.
So I have a very interesting video to show on Halloween for that. For the ghosts. Actual paranormal activity. I promise you, this video's been accredited. It's been people tried to debunk it. They cannot. It's a factual video. It happened.
Right.
And it is probably one of the scariest things that you will ever see.
Yeah, I mean, I used to watch a lot of content, on YouTube and stuff like that, ghost sightings and all that. And over time, I found a lot of them to be completely fake. Within, it's too convenient. Always just you can just tell it's been doctored in some kind of way. And I find it hard to find credible, stories and stuff like that. But I have found a channel with some possible things that I do believe to be fairly legit. Just because it's not done for the sake of trying to be like, oh, look, I found a ghost. Just strange paranormal things happening, especially with children. It happens a lot with children.
Never got anything recorded off of for mine. but I've had some paranormal experiences, and I 100% believe in ghosts.
Oh yeah, I also have had very many experiences. My mum used to do Ouija boards a lot when she was younger. She's been to a bunch of haunted places, so I have a lot of stories on that subject when it comes to ghosts and paranormals, and obviously through my own experiences.
We'll talk about all that at noon on Halloween Day.
Oh yeah, we're gonna get into that stuff.
Yeah, and then at our normal showing time, we're gonna get into it.
Oh yeah, I mean,
I want everybody to turn down the lights, light some candles, get your blankets out, and we're gonna share some ghost stories. If you missed that episode and you missed us on that podcast, you're missing out.
Oh yeah, definitely, most definitely. I mean,
I think as far as this Bigfoot topic goes, I think we're gonna wrap it up on it. We'll probably end a little earlier than even the top of the hour, like I said we were gonna go to. I'm just kind of I'm drawing on right now. And we're telling other stories, so.
I'm kind of drawing a blank myself.
Yeah, well, it's not. I'm drawing a blank. I'm falling asleep.
Yeah. Whereas me, I'm kind of running out of things to talk about on the subject. I mean, like I said, don't approach them if you see one. Try and get a good picture if you can. If you do, unfortunately, end up accidentally having to defend yourself against one,
report it.
Like I said, don't tell the government.
Yeah, don't tell the government, but report it. Report these Bigfoot finding places, and run it on the news. See if the news will take it.
Oh yeah.
Although if it doesn't involve politics these days, I highly doubt it will.
Yeah.
You could always try though.
Massive discovery. Everything else gets posted first. Politics. Well, yeah.
My height of politics for this channel will be blah 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 left, blah 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 right, blah blah politics, blah blah blah.
Yeah.
There you go. There's politics in a nutshell, guys. All right, that's all you're gonna get out of it.
That we're gonna get into. It's a can of worms. Regardless of what your stance is, there's always going to be people that are going to be angry with you and whatnot. Just we're staying away from it. So politics will not be something we discuss on these podcasts.
If it's not on the Discord, we will not discuss it.
No. So if you come into our Discord being like, well, what are your thoughts on this person or that person or this movement or that movement, we're not going to talk to you about it.
You're gonna be banned from the chat from the Discord if you start talking about that.
Yeah, I mean, possibly may introduce a warning system.
Oh yeah, there will be a warning, but
why?
So
and if you carry on, we will.
The first thing you get is a warning message. The second thing you get is a soft ban, meaning you're going to be muted, and then after that, it's a ban. So.
Yeah, because we have not opened that one.
Yep. So go ahead and subscribe to the channel, subscribe to YouTube, give us a like or a dislike. If you dislike it, leave us a comment. Like I always say, we don't really get that much activity on YouTube. I get a lot more activity here on Twitch, so it's probably because we're streaming here and I'm posting the videos later. But,
I mean, we'll eventually probably get a following on YouTube and whatnot.
Yeah.
It's a trickier beast, YouTube, for getting started, but...
We're getting views here and there, but go ahead and give us a subscribe. We could really use it. Give us a like or a dislike. It helps our analytics, helps us grow as a channel. Join our Discord, please. I want this community to grow. I love having all these people in the chat here. I don't think a lot of y'all are logged in, or maybe some of y'all are bots. I don't know, but join the Discord, please. Engage in discussion with us. It helps drive the show.
Yeah, we'd love to get some feedback from people, or possible information that you might have. Maybe you had an experience that you'd like to share.
I mean,
feel free to share it with us.
In the chat, I mean, it's for the most part the same people who always show up. So I appreciate you guys showing up, watching. It doesn't show on my stream that you guys are watching. It doesn't say that you're viewing, but it does say that you're in the chat. So, meaning you're not logged in. So I get that. But go ahead and join the Discord. It's free to join it. We'll get you guys in your roles, and come join us in discussion because you can chat with us there as well.
It'd definitely be good to hear some more people and some more viewpoints and thoughts and things.
Yeah, I am I know the last video I said I wasn't going to post that same night, and I posted it that same night anyways, but this one I'm definitely not. It will be posted tomorrow, whenever I wake up. But I appreciate everybody for stopping by. Hope you guys enjoyed this episode, and we'll post this up on YouTube later whenever I wake up.
Yeah, it's been wonderful having you. It's been good to be here once again, and we look forward to hearing from you. We hope you found the podcast entertaining and insightful. We'd love to hear your thoughts and opinions.
We proved Bigfoot's real.
Yes.
You heard it from us first. Bigfoot's real.
Definitive proof. It's a Gigantopithecus. It's confirmed. Yeah.
But yeah, I'm excited for next week's episode. Next week Tuesday. Next week Wednesday.
No,
Wednesday at 5. Next week. Love to have you guys all here. I'm sorry that we had to end this so short. I am just so drained right now. I apologize, everybody.
Yeah.
But I gotta get some rest. I am passing out. So we'll see you all next Wednesday at 5 Eastern time.
Don't forget, it'll be on Myths and Legends. Possibly add some stuff from possible native Indian tribes or other creatures known throughout the US, Mothman, things of that nature.
And I will be sharing a personal experience with one of these creatures that I had a run-in with.
Yes, and that will be very interesting.
So stay tuned next week. You will definitely want to hear this story because it is crazy.
Yeah.
All right.
Well, thank you everybody for tuning in. See you next week. Have a wonderful night.
Till next week. Polish your tinfoil hats.
Make sure they're nice and shiny and reflective. Prevent those waves from getting through.
All right. Bye, everyone.
Bye.